For Istanbul Apparel Conference, we are back again. This time we'll be speaking about technology and digitalization. Actually, two topics that cannot be separated from each other, because once we have technology, it means that there must be digitalization. So they are side by side. Actually, I have an assistant today. I actually will be transferring my position as the moderator to Istanbul Fashion Academy Director Gülin Girişmen. I will just give the floor to her. Actually, thank you very much. So, for the apparel industry, this time access to data, or the importance that fashion gives to data, and from perspective of fashion, what data is. That's what we'll be discussing. We'll touch upon innovation, clean energy, and of course, digitalization and technology. So I'm sure that you will have a great session. Who will join you? I just will go through it and I'll leave the floor to Alper. Diktaş will be together with us from Sercon Technology, founding partner. From Polytropon, CEO Leslie Riley will be together with us, and from Matex, General Manager Doğu Pabuççuoğlu would be together with us. So I don't want to take too much of your time, and I would like to give the floor to Gülin Girişmen. Yes, the floor is yours. Thank you very much. And hello, everyone. Now, in apparel and design technology and digitalization, welcome to our panel. First of all, for the organization of this panel, and I would like to thank to the Turkish Clothing Manufacturers Association for giving us the opportunity to address to you here. We have very distinguished speakers. I, Gülin Girişmen, as Istanbul Fashion Academy, I'll be moderating this session. As you know, very briefly, maybe a couple of words about Istanbul Fashion Academy. I just would like to introduce you Academy. Istanbul Fashion Academy is actually addressing to the professionals in the industry and to the young people and to the adults in design, communication, and production and design. We provide training, consultancy services, and we're also a leader in different consulting services and other services as well. As you all know, digitalization, especially recently, is something that we've been discussing a lot, and at the same time, it focuses more on collaboration and cooperation in the industry. And for better professionals in the industry, we are also working as Istanbul Fashion Academy. And especially for having more skilled personnel in the industry, especially giving the people the ability to think in a multidimensional manner in entrepreneurship and help them for career planning. And these are extremely important in digital transformation. And we also assume a huge responsibility as well. Now, in Istanbul Fashion Academy, we actually have a new project, especially for e-commerce, that is photography. And with its infrastructure, we've already started for training activities, and we use actually the high technology, and we now are also compatible with the recent technologies. So we actually aim to have more added value to the industry. I don't want to take too much of your time, and I would like to invite the distinguished speakers, but within the framework of sustainability, as Istanbul Fashion Academy, we have several webinars, and at the same time we follow the social media, and therefore, so as to expand the also terminology, we have several services. In today's panel, especially in design, what is digitalization, end-to-end design, and also in apparel, the technology. And I would like to start the session. With Doğu Pabuççuoğlu, I would like to leave the floor to the General Manager of Matex. Hello. Thank you very much. So I'd like to leave the floor to you. And zero water consumption and sustainable production in the textile industry. So the floor is yours. Thank you. I very briefly would like to say a couple of words about Matex, and then I will move to sustainable and special digital technology, what we are doing. Now, as maths, especially for the last 40 years, we have been doing in the printing industry, and especially for the last, again, 14 years at different areas we serve. And I think very recently we are Cornet's distributor. Cornet Digital. It's actually one of the major players in printing, and as you mentioned, especially it is healthy living, as you mentioned, and of course everything that we produce actually is in textile. There's a need to use non-toxic ink, and that's what we are trying to make sure. And therefore those who are using our systems, it's very safe, including for the infants. So that's the products that we offer. The waste of our production, at the same time, the waste is actually is non-toxic. We have some safe, again, working zones. Water is very important. As you all know, maybe one of the most important things in the world today is clean water. And clean water and sanitation, looking at the textile production, as you all know, after oil production, we are the second most polluting, second industry that is the most polluting in the world. So especially it minimizes the use of clean water, and thanks to our technologies, it's important. And with current digital, maybe that is the advantage that we have. Zero, again, waste is something like a vision to us. So we're just trying to ensure for this. For current digital printing technology, is also a contribution for clean energy. From conventional analog systems, it's also consuming less when compared to the other digital technologies, especially for carbon footprint, which is a major topic. We also contribute to reducing carbon footprint as well. Reducing printing costs. We make them much more stable and predictable in terms of the production process, especially good for just and fair production, and minimizing the distance between the consumer and the producer. And I think the shortcut to this is actually e-commerce. So we're just focusing on all. Of course, the textile industrials, especially, as you all know, in Turkey, has several advantages in terms of the brands, especially during the pandemics. Majority of the brands, so as to, for example, make the production in the shortest extent possible during the pandemics, they prefer Turkey, which actually will bring along economic growth. And of course, while our producers are contributing to the Turkish economy, but at the same time, they can possibly reduce the cost. As you all know, once we said waste, it is everything would like to be collected, including the waste, in the shortest extent possible, and would like to, and that's what Current is trying to do as technology on it. As MedTechs, of course, on demand, Current digital solutions can be offered to the Turkish textile industry, and we offer innovative solutions also that are applicable worldwide, because as you all know, there are several again worldwide known brands that are produced in Turkey, and they are using Cornet digital solutions. So you actually introduce them all. And probably there is, in December the 2nd, there is actually going to be a fair, an exhibition. And after 2 years, it is actually organized for the first time. And so we'll be actually offering current products. In terms of sustainability for water consumption, what is the added value that you add? Because especially recently with digital transformation and together with the waste, as you all know, it turns out to be a major issue. So what is your approach in Turkey? Would you please elaborate more on this? Yes, of course. In the textile industry, you know it so well that during printing, so much water is used. And this use of water, as I told you at the beginning of my presentation, is actually the second after oil producing industry that is polluting the most environment, and polluting the environment most. And Current has its own R&D activities, and we use our own inks, which actually makes less pollution, therefore cleaner, and gives least harm to the ecosystem. They are designed accordingly. The inks you mentioned in color segregation, or does that have any effect actually on design, I would say? No, that's not, because it's also an important technical detail, I suppose. Yes, you're right. With Cornet's HDR technology is used. Therefore, each and every ink in piece printing and also in some matrix printing, there are again nanopigments. Therefore, there's actually no harm of these ink to the environment. I mean, all the textile products are touching to the human body, and therefore, during the contact, there should be some carcinogenic substances that may penetrate into the body. So, by using this ink, we totally avoid this. Also in children clothing and in infant clothing, I guess. It's a preference, could be a matter of preference, I suppose, use of such ink, in my opinion. Yes. Actually, we have international certificates like Eco Passport. And one more additional point is that you can do the printing, but after washing, actually, it can go away. And therefore, we at the same time have high washing capacity. Therefore, you can use your product for a long time once this ink is actually used. Thank you very much for your presentation. One last thing I would like to mention. Of course, on the top of all these sustainability certificates, we have ISO 14,000. Again, on the top of all this sustainability certificates, we also have other certificates, as the textile manufacturers would know it pretty well. And Cornet, for example, is received the environmental friendly producer approval of Nike as the current digital, and therefore that's actually, I think, it would be an enough indication for the users. Yes, a great reference. Thank you.
Well, thank you then for your contribution, Mr. Pabuççuoğlu. It's been really valuable, a very good contribution. Şimdi de sözü
our Leslie Riley, CEO of Polytropon. Here there is, this is your, would you like to start to introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, sure. My company, Polytropon, has been around for about 30 years. We're a tech company that services 100% textile and apparel companies. And we focus now on what I'm going to talk about today, which is the end-to-end digital transformation of the entire fashion industry.
Yes, which is very important now today. No, Leslie, from design to the production side, it's very important. And now today, you have so many other softwares that you would like to introduce us and talk about it, especially on design department. No, would you like to start to talk about maybe
sure.
browseware or what?
I'm not going to talk specifically about products. I mean, I'll show a little bit about the products, but yes. I want to talk a little bit more about the whole process.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so first I want to thank TGSD for continuing to organize this very important conference and for giving me the opportunity to speak. I spoke at this conference 3 years ago, and I talked about digital, and we were in the very almost beginning again then, and we were talking how do we begin to transform. And today, it's the world has changed just 3 years later. We have more technology, and we have more talk of transformation, with the focus being on transforming end-to-end. That's like the key phrase in the industry. So what do we mean by end-to-end? I have a short video which shows this, so we'll play that now.
Create your 2D patterns in V-Stitcher or import from CAD software. In our next stop, the garment comes to life with many 3D creation tools. The 3D assures accurate fit through true-to-life simulation. These tools allow quick scale on creation and workflows that fits the professional apparel creator. It's time to move to preparation for showcasing. Seamlessly working with today's most advanced render engines and software that create hyper-realistic visual assets to use anywhere, anytime. Browseware connects to any PLM solution, enabling businesses to enhance their strategic and operational performance. Users can also work with any digital asset management and collection approval system for enhanced collaboration and consistency. Now that the garment is approved and the collection is assorted, you'll move to B2B digital selling, showcasing through the product catalog, providing an immersive experience that is unparalleled in its flexibility. And furthermore, using fully digital garments and models in an enhanced online shopping experience. It's time to produce the physical garment directly from the 3D file and deliver to the customer.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's keep going on.
That was a little bit end-to-end. So that was just an illustration from the concept to delivery of everything that can be done digitally and what it might look like. So now we have these digital tools, we have digital assets, we have data, and we're seeing some very impressive and exciting applications and innovation and new approaches in the clothing sector. I mentioned briefly, as you may know, that Alibaba has created an organization called Zunji. This is a flexible manufacturing facility based on data and artificial intelligence, and they're providing digital know-how and manufacturing services to small and medium-sized companies. And this really makes one think, why is one of the world's biggest e-commerce platforms getting into physical manufacturing? Well, they claim that they're helping these small companies to focus on what to sell and, importantly, not on how to stock. So this is a huge shift in how the industry will operate, and it's powered by everything digital. And last week we had the announcement from PVH, who owns the Tommy Hilfiger and Calvin Klein brands, that they're going to open up the platform that they've been developing in their digital wing, which is called Stitch 3D. And it's going to make this technology and their platforms available to other brands. Why? Why are they doing that? Haven't they invested tons of money in this, and shouldn't they keep it proprietary? Well, in their view, every brand will be unique in the way they implement digitalization, but it needs to be done industry-wide. At Stitch 3D, they know that the more brands that join, the faster the industry can change. So I want to stress that while the well-known benefits of digital, such as reduced time and reduced cost and fewer resources, these today are just seen as just the baseline. We're moving into other opportunities and use cases like merchandising, like digital showrooms, virtual try-ons, augmented reality, and even in-game purely digital apparel purchases. So what about us, the people and the companies gathered at this conference? How should we be thinking about all this change? What opportunities are out there, and how can we succeed? There are many factors to consider, and there are many thought leaders to follow, and there are many consultants to consult with. Okay, but I want to boil it down here to 4 key factors in 2 categories. The categories are both organizational and technological. Organizationally, it is absolutely essential to have visible commitment from the CEO and the executive team, and buy-in from middle managers. Boston Consulting Group's reports that a 65% improved success rates in companies where managers are fully engaged. So to put it simply, if you're going to do this half-heartedly, you'll have the corresponding results. And secondly, you need to have the right people in the right places. In successful transformations, companies appoint the top people, they give them important career-advancing roles, and then they make sure that they have the right mix of digital and organizational experience. So who and where are the right people? Because according to a survey by Motif in 2020, 57% of the clothing companies report that they have difficulties in filling positions because of a lack of a skilled workforce. Well, fortunately in Turkey, we have great universities and other educational institutions like İTKİB and the Istanbul Motor Academy, who provide opportunities for further education and upskilling for even advanced professionals. And so I do think that upskilling is the key word here. We need to invest in upskilling our teams that are already competent in what the industry has done traditionally. I often think of the story where the CEO and the CFO meet and they're going to discuss the company budget for training. And the CEO has decided that he's going to do a massive upskilling and of a lot of personnel through a large series of trainings. And the CFO says, but what are you doing? This is crazy. This is a huge amount of money. And what if we train these people and they leave the company? And the CEO says, what if we don't and they stay? So let's keep this in mind. And let's keep in mind that people, not technology, makes transformations happen. So what about the technology? Okay, there are two important aspects of the technology when you're thinking about digital. First, when you think about transformation, you need to think about creating a business-led tech and data platforms. The platform has to be absolutely aligned with your business goals. So the platform is going to be unique and different for every company. And second, as we know, no one tech company, no one brand is going to make this transformation happen. We need open platforms, we need easy integrations, we need collaboration among tech companies, and we need standards. Standards for data, for physical models, for 3D models. Think about the telecommunications industry. There are many, many competitors, but it all works because of standards. For us, a standard defines, for example, what is a digital fabric. Some standards exist, and some are under development. And fortunately, there are industry consortiums working on this, like the 3D Retail Coalition. It's the combination of the platform with the standards that are going to ensure that the quality of our digital assets, such as an image of a fabric, will be maintained throughout the process. And also that all the related data associated with our assets will move along with it. So I summarize the key factors as leadership, skills, strategic digital platforms, and technical standards and open systems. At Polytropon, we're focused on delivering on all those factors in partnership with our clients and our existing technology partners like Browseware and others. I'll end with a short video of how this works. I'll show you another video of what the flow might look like. And I thank you very much for your time and listening.
Thank you very much, Leslie. But I would like to ask you a question.
I have one more video to show. Wait, sorry. There's one more video to show.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we can. Okay. Thanks.
As preparation for our digital samples, we gather digital assets, specifications, and plans in our PLM system, Polyorganize. If we work with special fabrics, we may test them for physical properties. We can also scan any fabric to obtain its full 3D texture. We'll develop our patterns in Polypattern, and they'll come through perfectly in Browseware. Here we'll create, develop, and revise our 3D digital product. Since we're developing and using the same patterns for design and production, we're immediately ready for fit reviews. In the meantime, all this progress is tracked through Polyorganize, and our final review sheet is complete and accurate when the digital product is approved and we're ready for production. We manage the entire production, including subcontractor capacity, in Polyorganize. And our digital product moves on to our sales channels in a B2B digital showroom or to our e-commerce platform.
Okay. Hi.
Okay, finished, or would you like
that's
to?
It. Thank
okay,
you.
Thank you very much, Leslie. Would you like to add about how is the result and reflection in the industry about these last technologies and digitalization products? Do you have any idea about it? Would you like to talk about in the global sector how it's the results, how they are approaching to these technologies?
In the global sector,
yes,
as compared to the Turkish. I think that in Turkey, we have the impression that the rest of the world is very far ahead of us. There are some platforms, some companies are very, very far ahead, but they've invested in this. They're over 10 years looking at it. But there are still a lot of big brands struggling. I wouldn't say struggling, but investing and formulating. And there's been a lot of knowledge shared among the brands, and that's been really, really very important. Yeah, there's a mix. There's a mix of some brands very far ahead and some less so.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, but I guess this is a very important transformation on digitalization, especially on design, because now today is the new language and the communication way in the design sector. So thank you very much for your informations, Leslie. I would like to turn on Turkish. So Alper Diktaş.
Alper Diktaş from Serkon Technology will be providing us some information on that. Alper Diktaş, what are the implications of technology on apparel sector? What is the value of data in the specific industry? Hello, Gülin, and thank you very much taking the word. I first would like to wish for the success of the conference and thank you very much for your kind invitation. It's an honor for me to be a part of the conference. I will be speaking about digitalization in apparel industry, how it's being validated, what the mission of our company is. Now, today, especially after the pandemics, technology has penetrated into our lives quite soundly. When this is the case, there has been an acceleration in the growth of data. But what is data? Briefly, unprocessed, uninterpreted, or unmeaningful raw information is called data. Data-based solutions are the most important investments of the biggest companies. After the pandemics, we've once again witnessed that time is the biggest, the most important value. Operational times, values, R&D processes, I think, are mostly based on time. Now, the next question to be asked is, now that time is so important for human beings, how can we optimize our processes in making better decisions? Now, the answer lies in the digitalizing world from a better analysis and conversion of data. Data is, I think, the new oil of the day. If and when processed correctly, can turn into a lot of outputs. With an increase in the technological advancements, data collection systems are improving quite successfully and swiftly. We have quite clean data, and that will be based on the correct decisions. As group companies, in all the technologies we are developing, we put the human beings in the center of everything. Time is the valuable asset for human beings, so we're working quite hard to make it even more valuable. Local and national Turkish engineers are being used in all technologies we're developing. On the basis of the industry, I would like to say that Serkon also serves for the apparel industry. We are involved in digitalization of planning processes as well. Hundreds of facilities have been employing these technologies. In the sector, automatic fabric laying and fully automatized fabric cutting machine, cutter bus, also supports digitalization. All these machines are working in data collection, traceability from a central center, and at the same time with their contribution to the data system quite valuable for the control, cutting and laying of the fabrics. All the data will be shared with amongst each other and will be used for mutual purposes. New generation devices also provide some information to the laying systems and the layers so as to improve operator support, provide surface control data where the operators will be supported digitally throughout the laying process. At the level of manufacturing, optimization skills and capabilities are needed more intensively. As you know, in the apparel, there is end-to-end from yarn to the transportation. There is an effort-intensive contribution, and sewing as well as the after stages are quite important. Market data collection, interpretation will matter at the time of decision making. Therefore, quite innovative software and solutions have been developed. The procedure for collecting the data is thanks to a specific touchmatic devices produced in our facilities. Therefore, I think that we have strengthened our position to be the manufacturer and user at the same time. Hundreds of data collection, measurement and operation capabilities data are collected in a central artificial intelligence solution. Essentially, our MES solution serves as making the big data more meaningful in the decision support system. In this respect, data collection systems are just exceeded. Another argument is a breakthrough, in our opinion. Control is not achieved with the need of the human eye. So this technology aims at avoiding the classical human eye control process, twice as much faster and more reliable and accurate, can be integrated with many systems and has the maximum traceability. Thanks to this technology, digitalization, data collection and improvement can be provided in these capabilities, contributing to the correct decision making and improvement in raw materials with a full contribution to the energy side as well. In this respect, we believe that our technology partner is Anatex and would like to name them as well. Point-to-point failure can be checked with the SARCOM control technology, and this technology will be launched by the end of the year. This is quite exciting, and it's an honor for me to be able to share it with you. As technology developers, we should keep in mind that apparel manufacturers do not suffice with the data collection anymore. They need the computer support to be converted in an outcome. The machines that serve only for data collection but they do not fulfill the outcomes cannot be considered acceptable. And this kind of technology is not sufficient. It needs to be converted into a decision and concluded by the computer. From the sewing machines to its derivatives, we can get some quantity info, but it is primitive systems that do this for function. As I said at the beginning, the time of the companies are precious, but the servers that become a garbage would also result in inefficient reporting. Data becomes more precious every other day, but its perception by the human eye becomes more important. In the digitalization time, the companies must also be involved in the system with the correct mapping. Therefore, the technology teams must be as important as law, sales, and accounting departments. For a long time, the info on paper has not served for any purpose than to its owner. Now, the digitalized human data can become more meaningful with the digitalized computer data. Yet, limited and scarce resources make it quite difficult to make huge-scaled interpretation of data. In evolving technology time, deep learning, machine learning, which are the lower arms of the AI, will quite be prone to be converted in the future technologies. We would like to also advise the companies to be involved in these processes, because in the short run there will be quite well assumptions for the future. The making use of the infinite opportunities of technology, the future will be a brighter one for all of us. Therefore, companies who face these realities early, who make peace with these understanding, will take a step further in the future. Last but not least, the limits such as cost and manufacturing time will become more important. Short deadline production is expected by the Turkish apparel manufacturers, and we are aware of the pressure on the shoulders of the Turkish manufacturers. SARCOM has concentrated in more competitive manufacturing, and these technologies also serve at supporting our producers at all times. We're extremely honored to be such a supplier in this industry. With R&D center and our colleagues in this process, I believe that we will always be there to support Turkish textile and apparel manufacturers at all times in the future. Thank you very much for your time.
Alper Bey, çok teşekkür ediyoruz.
Thank you very much, Alper. Now I will actually move to Doğu. And we just started with you and would like to end with you. Any final words you would like to mention in terms of zero waste and sustainability? Maybe you can provide a wrap-up and closing remarks. I think there is actually no point in repeating what I've already mentioned or what is already mentioned, but what I want to say is that I think the biggest problem that we encounter today is actually pollution. Of course, zero waste is extremely important because the other speakers also repeated the same thing again and underlined the importance of this, because our biggest wish is actually to have a demand on production and to produce what is only demanded, what is only required, and therefore everything or the reducing the inventory, the stock that is actually going to the dump sites and not used. I think it will help a lot in terms of reducing waste. I think it's important to have such a raised awareness as the entire industry. So, yes, we've reached to the end of the panel, I guess. So, thank you very much to all our participants, and I also would like to thank to the Turkish Clothing Manufacturers Association and wish for the success of all. Thank you.